Welcome back to This Week on Main Street. I'm Chris Owens, and talking about all things happening in downtown Noblesville. There's quite the arts initiative that's been happening for a while, but seems like it's catching quite a buzz. I'm joined now by Alice Cavanagh-Scover and Sarah Morin. Talk about your involvement in the arts in downtown Noblesville.
Sure. Well, what we've started is something called the Noblesville Interdisciplinary Creativity Expo. And so we were sitting downtown drinking tea and coffee, and we're like, we are just so inspired by these, great classic pieces like Pride and Prejudice, To Kill a Mockingbird, and I'm an author and she's an artist, and we're like, wouldn't it be great to invite the community to make pieces, are inspired by those works?
When we were first talking about it, what struck me about Sarah and this idea is that she is so creative in her writing. She has published a novel where she's retelling an age-old fairy tale. So she's kind of inspired by something that's been around a long time. And so we kind of went from that. And having been in the art community in Noblesville and sort of the surrounding area, I hardly ever leave Noblesville. But,
A big two of us.
Yeah, I don't need to. But we just felt like this would be a really cool event to give people of all ages and all levels of artistic and creative endeavor a safe place to show their work, and with familiar inspiration. So it wouldn't be, like a really difficult, crazy thing to do, So that's kind of where we came from with that.
That's really key. I think one of the things we talk a lot about with Noblesville Main Street is removing some of these traditional barriers to
Yes.
things like art,
Yes.
politics, culture, and it's great that you've taken that as a
We
project.
specifically want people of, from high school age on up, people who have never put a creative thing out there in the world, whether it's music, whether it's a painting, whether it's a fascinator. We've had some kind of crazy, it's not big enough for the doctor, he wouldn't like this.
Yeah.
Our doctor would say, get a bigger broom.
I gotta go buy a hat.
But, we want people to make anything inspired and put it out there. And there's no judgment. It's not for prizes. There's no contest. We're just there to feel good about the creative process and to kind of help nurture that spirit in Noblesville, which I think is really growing.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's really great too. We started off the summer, the Thursday market, with the it was 1,000 pounds of clay that we cooperated with the art house on, and just to see even my 4-year-old get out and use a pottery wheel was very cool. So I think that's great what you're doing. So this is all based on classic literature.
Yep.
Can you give us an example of the books and the inspiration?
Sure. I'll start
You
with
go
one.
first, yeah.
Sure. Well, one of ones that I was pushing for was Pride and Prejudice, Jane Austen. And what we've done is we've selected just short passages from each, so that way if people are not familiar with it, then they can just focus on that passage. But if they know the whole book, then they can take any section of it.
Okay.
So one thing that I have here, the quote that we selected was, "To be fond of dancing was a certain step towards falling in love." And so what I did here was that quote's in the middle, and then I pasted other quotes about dancing around it. So it's an example of something that you could do. So.
And the other 3 books are Wuthering Heights, Frankenstein, and To Kill a Mockingbird. We kind of chose Frankenstein because that new movie's coming out, and plus I just love it, so I kind of know it by heart. To Kill a Mockingbird seemed timely because Harper Lee's published her Go Set a Watchman, and that's kind of controversial, and we both love To Kill a Mockingbird.
Oh, yeah.
And then,
See, I thought you were going to say you both love controversy. So.
well, we do love that too.
That's true,
It's very
too.
inspiring. But we knew there'd be a lot of people who would want to kind of defend Atticus Finch in creative effort. And not surprisingly, we've gotten a lot of submissions for To Kill a Mockingbird based on Atticus Finch. And then the other one is The Wuthering Heights, which we kind of had a little battle about because she's an Austen fan, I'm a Emily Bronte fan, so we were like, who's going to have the most inspired pieces?
That's right.
Jane Austen or Emily Bronte? So there's a contest going on. No prize or anything, but it's just a little contest. No, come on, Wuthering Heights.
So is there a deadline?
There is a
works to
deadline.
be submitted?
We would like to have the online forms, which you can submit via email or snail mail by September 23rd. That said, you don't have to have your pieces completed by September 23rd. That's just kind of when we want the forms in, so we know what we're looking at for the 2-night event.
And what's the website where folks can download the form?
Sure. The key word to remember is NICE, because that's our acronym.
Yes.
So it's NICE Artists at WordPress.com. But just look for nice and then stick in Noblesville and it'll Google it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
And then when will these be presented and where? What are the details?
These will be presented October 2nd and 3rd at Logan Street Sanctuary, which is 1274 Logan Street here in Noblesville. And I want to give a huge shout out to Logan Street Sanctuary because it's a fairly new music and arts venue that John Gilmore, who's a local musician, sorry John, you're Dr. John now, has created for our community, and it's a wonderful place, and he's basically letting us do our 2-night event at no charge.
Yeah.
So we're so grateful for that because we're kind of doing this on a wing and a prayer. We hope in the future to be nonprofit and have a little more funding and stuff, but we're just winging it, you know.
Sure.
And so it's a huge benefit to our event to have that venue. But it'll be October 2nd and 3rd, which is a Friday and a Saturday night. We're going to start about 6:30, have like viewing presentations. We'll start about 7:30.
And tea.
And tea. We're going to have Pam's Tea Shop is bringing in a tea table to serve tea, and which we thought would go very nicely with some of our UK themed. What 3 out of 4 are British, you know. So let's have a cuppa, you know. So that'll be pretty cool.
And we'll have some folks downtown, not far from the Logan Street Sanctuary for First Friday. So
Yes,
we will try to
hopefully
send people
they'll wander
over,
up. Yes.
To the Logan Street Sanctuary, which is actually just around the corner from my house.
Oh, wonderful.
So I'll see if I can get down there myself.
That would be
so
great.
what's the vision for the future? You talked about after this event happens, October 2nd and 3rd, where does NICE go from here?
Well, probably immediately I'll take naps.
Yes.
And then we will put our nose to the grindstone and work on the not-for-profit paperwork and what we need to do for that, because that really is one of the huge goals that we have. Mm-hmm. We feel like we kind of put this together almost not with enough lead time. We need to give the artists and the creative people more time. We need to advertise further in advance. We need it to be something that is being talked about and known about a little more. But I see us just doing this every year, picking new passages, new books, getting feedback from the people who submit and the community in general. We've been working with the high schools to work with for example, in Noblesville, Craig Helming of the art department and Bill Kenley in the English department have been talking to their students and their colleagues, and we'd like to get like reading lists and what are the kids reading in school. Maybe we could have some inspired passages with those kind of books and not just the older classics. So
yeah, kind of helping people connect with, I mean, these things can be very distant to some people. And so just, how do you get that modern perspective? How do you connect to it from a modern perspective?
Or worse, you're sitting in class and you're bored to tears and you hate the book. Well,
right.
Some people 20 years later, they might have a different reaction and after life experiences and things. So that's one of the reasons we're so excited to have like high school students and older adults participating, because we're going to have such a range of interpretation and inspiration, and that's kind of what inspires us to just want to build and build and build on it.
Well, there's a really great creative element in downtown Noblesville, and as a musician, but a person who I don't consider myself to be that creative. I know just having a conversation with Gabriel Lehman last week while he was doing the mural
He's cool.
on the FF&S building located just off 8th Street and Maple, just to hear his thought process as he created that was, it was phenomenal. It was
and that's what we're
outstanding.
hoping for our 2-night event is, since we're having our artists present their work in little 4-minute segments, they will be able to share with us some of that process. I mean, we've asked in the forum to give us a little detail of how you were inspired or whatever, but I think it'd be really neat for everybody who comes to just hear those people really tell their story a little bit, what they connected with. And that's something that I've experienced, and I think you've experienced too. We met at a nickel plate arts event, and a lot of times there's an opportunity in the nickel plate events to kind of talk to the artists who are there, who are showing work. And that's something that I think we really wanted to include in our event, is that that ability to connect with the artist who's connecting with those past literature writers, those artists from the past. And so we partnered with Nickel Plate to help. They're helping us with some of our advertising and getting the word out, as you have. So we've got a lot of shout outs to do. How much time do we have? Probably not enough time for all our shout outs.
Well, give the website one more time if folks want to know.
Sure. It's niceartists@wordpress.com.
Okay, and I believe if we haven't already, we will link to that off the Noblesville Main Street website, and it's on our social media as well. So, Alice Cabanis-Gover, Sarah Morin, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
And thank you for what you're doing for the arts in downtown Noblesville.
Thank
I think
you for
it's,
having us.
it's a very exciting time downtown,
It really
and I
is,
think if
yeah.
you can't drive through and see unique things happening, then we need to seriously talk.
Yeah,
So,
that's exactly right.
all right, it's the week of the duck race, and coming up, we're going to talk more about that with Perry Williams. We'll be back right after this.